Okay, in this video we will solve a second order complex root where we have an initial value. So this right here is y double prime plus 4y prime plus 5y is equal to 0, and we're given the initial value of y parentheses 0 is equal to 1 and y prime 0 is equal to 0. And so we can break this down right here by saying r squared plus 4r plus 5 is equal to 0. And if you notice, we can't factor this out, and so we have to use the quadratic equation. And so we'll say r is equal to minus b, so minus 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 16 minus 4a, a is 1, times c, so 5, divided by 2a, so divided by 2. And so we would get, right here is going to be 16 minus 20. So we know it's a negative under this square root. So we would get negative 4 plus or minus square root of negative 4 divided by 2. So we're dealing with complex roots. And so we can say negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. The square root of negative 4 would be 2i. So we can say plus or minus I since we're dividing by 2. And now we can write our general equation. It will be y is equal to c1e raised to negative 2t, this term right here, times cosine t because of plus or minus I, plus c2e raised to negative 2t times sine t. This is our general equation. But since we're given the initial value, we can actually get the value of c1 and c2. And so the next thing we're going to do is get the derivative of y. And so the derivative of y would be c1e raised to negative 2t times negative 2 cosine t minus sine t. And so the derivative of y prime, it would be c1e raised to negative 2t parentheses minus 2 cosine t minus sine t plus c2e raised to negative 2t parentheses minus 2 sine t plus cosine t. And now we simply plug in the values we have. So we have y parentheses 0 is equal to 1 and y prime 0 is equal to 0. And so if we plug in 0 for t, we know sine 0 is 0, so this is gone. Cosine 0 is 1. E raised to 0 is 1, so we get c1 is equal to 1. Next we do y prime 0 is equal to 0, so we plug in t is equal to 0 here. And so we would get, this would be 0, this would be 0, we would get negative 2, and we get 1. So we would get, so this would be 1, so c1 times negative 2, so negative 2c1. This would be 1, this would be 1, so c2 times 1, so c2. And we're saying that y prime 0 is equal to 0, so this would equal 0. And so from the first equation, we know that c1 is equal to 1, so we plug in c1 is equal to 1, so we get negative 2, and so therefore c2 is equal to 2. And so our final equation will be c1 is 1, so it would be y is equal to e raised to negative 2t cosine t plus 2e raised to negative 2t sine t, or we could get the common factor of e raised to negative 2t and say that y is equal to e raised to negative 2t parentheses cosine t plus 2 sine t. And that's all we need to do for this problem.